Storm Chaser back here. I made a video in a while, so figured do another FS economy flight here. Actually, finally got myself a screen recorder, so I actually kind of show you a little bit of FS economy and how you go about it. It's took me a little while to kind of get orientated with it, but you know, it's not too bad. Essentially, what you do is like the last. Let me pull up my logbook here, so you can see my flights I've been doing here. My last flight was a little while ago, July 12th, but landed here at KM Kilo Mike Echo Romeo. I'm sorry, I just don't know the name off the top of my head, but it's in Northern California near Fresno. So that's where I'm going to be departing from. And I found a flight. I'll be flying over to Oakland. I kind of already logged that stuff in already, but you can click on the airport. Castle. So this is Castle Airport, I guess it was. So we're going Castle to Oakland. So essentially what you want to do if you want to take passengers, I've already fortunately selected them, the Oakland flights, but you just kind of click and then you click right here, add selected assignments to the aircraft you selected. I've been flying the King Air 200, and how FS economy works, it's basically I've just been renting it because I just started out. You can see I don't have a whole lot of money saved up, about 20,000, but you just kind of start with a plane, and then I was renting it, so anybody's actually allowed to kind of take the flight or take the plane once it's landed and re-rent it out. But fortunately, it was still there, even though it's been a couple weeks since my last flight, so it was pretty easy to get a hold of. So all I had to do was just click on the rent. But so you go to my flight, you kind of see I got my King Air here. 30 how much fuel I got, 33%, which would be more than plenty. Get over to Oakland. It's probably like maybe hour flight at the most. And here's my 3 assignments. So I'm flying these 3 Atwater charter passengers, $800 roughly each. So it would be about, what is that, $2,400 for the, minus expenses. So pretty cool. I mean, the nice thing about FS economy again is that you get to kind of fly to airports that you're not necessarily would ever fly into, and then also you can also use more general aviation versus the big planes. So you kind of have a little more fun with the smaller aircraft. And then there was one other thing. Oh yeah, as far as the routing. So I was trying to look for a route because I try to keep it more realistic. Follow a real world route, and this is flightaware.com. You should be familiar with this, but it is kind of an easy way to look up flights. So basically just put in your your departure airport and arrival airport, and it's got some rare flights here. I've been using Fresno because unfortunately Castle, too small of an airport. I don't think there's really any IFR. I was looking for an IFR flight plan from Castle to Oakland, but the closest I could really find was Fresno. And unfortunately, none of these they probably flew VFR, these American flights, so there was no flight plan I could find. But I did find this Federal Express, looks like a feeder flight, the Cessna 208, and had a little bit of a route. Fortunately, this I don't really the SID, standard instrument departure. And that looks like the transition, Clovis transition. That's gonna still too south of me, so I could probably pick up this route from ECA or Echo Charlie Alpha. And then this is the Sky Vector. It was kind of cool, so I can basically just pull up. This is called a low enroute chart. It's what if you're flying instrument flights, what pilots will use. So I'm right here. I'm at Water Castle, and here's Fresno. If you can see it down here. And unfortunately, I can't use that part because Clovis is down here, so I'm not going to take off from here and go south to Clovis to kind of line up with this route. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly directly to Manteca, which is Echo Charlie Alpha, right here, this VOR. And so I'm going to be taking off here. I'm just pretty much going to fly direct to there, and then I'm going to follow the routing from there. So from there, I'm going to Victor 195. Let's see, we can see that on here. There it is. Yeah, Victor 195 to Sunnel. Sunnel intersection is right there. So that's still quite a ways away from Oakland, but whatever. I'm sure probably today the weather's pretty clear, so I probably should be able to pick up like a visual from there. Is that the Sunderland intersection? Yeah, it is Sunderland intersection. So for some reason, I guess, well, typically what would happen in real world, you would have ATC kind of vector in from there because Oakland's such a busy area for air traffic. But I pulled up what's called VATSIM on top of that, and you can kind of seeing if there's any virtual air traffic control up for me to do this flight to try to be as real as I could. Unfortunately, it looks like the center's down, so I'm not going to really have it. They do have San Francisco Tower, but being in Oakland, he's not going to really give me any vector. So looks like I'm pretty much going to be on my own for this flight. So I just wanted to give you some sort of, this is kind of the pre-planning of the flight, and I'll be back and add on to the sim part. All right, so I'll talk to the rest. Okay, guys, here I got the X-Plane all fired up here again with my Coronado King Air 200 here at Castle. We're flying over to Oakland. Got found a pretty good checklist here on good Googling, and it's a little bit, seems to be a little bit better organized. A little more straightforward than the one I was using for the Coronado supplied one. So I'm just go ahead and use this. I'm going to splice in a copy of it. I'm not going to, some of these things I'm not quite sure where they're at, so I'm not going to go over everything in the checklist, but the ones that I am familiar with at this point, we will make sure to go over that. So first thing, cabin doors locked, check. Load and baggage secure, check. Weight and CG checked. Emergency exit latch, control locks removed, cabin seats position, outboard backs upright, check. Seatbelts and harnesses fastened, check. Parking brakes set. Parking brakes right down there. It is set there. Yeah, there's the parking brake. Okay, where was I? Sorry. Power levels idle, check. Propeller levels high RPM, check. Condition levers fuel cutoff, check. Cabin signs both. So coffee on, no smoking, and fast seatbelt sign is on. Vent cabin temperature mode off, check. Vent blower auto. Vent blower's right here. And vent blow in auto position. Let's see, is that in the auto position? It says vent blower auto. Well, I'll just leave it off for now. Okay, blower microphone switches normal. Okay, that one. Check on the co-pilot side and check on the pilot side. Check in, check. Circuit breakers right panel side, check in, checked. Stack heat, fuel. Circuit breakers left side, check in, checked. Standby pumps on. Well, first we got to turn our battery on, which is right here. Battery's on. Standby pumps are on. Battery switch on. Fuel pressure on. Let's see here. Okay, we'll check on that. Crossfeed, auxiliary, transfer auto, no transfer, press to set. Fuel quantity, check. Main auxiliary, we check that, check. DC volt load meters, press to check. DC volt meters are up here. DC load. Oh, it looks like we don't, because our avionics and everything's off, we're not look like we're really drawing much right now. Stall warning, test. I think that's over here somewhere. Lights, 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 tail. Damn, can't find that. Alright, stall warning test, fire detectors and extinguishers test. Okay, I don't know where the fire extinguishers are. We'll have to... work on that another time. Landing gear, press to test. Let's see if we can. I don't know if this has the test light on here. No, it doesn't. Rotating beacon on. Beacon check on. Engine start, battery, right engine igniter on. Fuel pressure check, extinguish, stabilize 12%. Add some fuel. When N1 reaches 50%, which you've already passed, engine off, engine igniter switch off, right generator reset, then on, reset, then on, left side engine igniter on, starter igniter on. Okay, add some fuel. Low idle, right generator on. Okay, ITT monitor. Left oil pressure check. Pressure's in the green. Left generator reset to on. And we turn the left igniter starter off. Inverter check both. Select on. DC volt load check. Check. Avionic master switch on. Lights as required. Put our taxi light on. Nav light on. Cabin temperature as required. Put that on auto. Enunciators test clear. They're clear. Brakes check. Alright, the next thing will be our taxi check. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the navs here. And hey guys, back with you. I just got my navs set up. Again, as you probably remember from the beginning of the video, I have the Sky Vector. I'll try to learn how to splice some of this stuff in, but right now I'm just kind of more of kind of a test video, you know, trying to get hard to kind of coordinate all this together at once. But the first thing before we do anything more, let's go ahead and check our weather. We'll be flying on Unicom, so I'm just going to simulate that part right here. Okay, the weather, ETAR, KMER. Okay, so winds 3304, 8 miles visibility, sky's clear. Temperature 401, dew point 10, altimeter 2984. So let's go ahead and set our altimeter 2984. All set there. Be taking off runway 31 into the wind, and we're all set for taxi. Adjust my seat here. Okay, so during the taxi, we're going to, as far as on the checklist, I think it'll be the brakes check and our gyros check. So just make sure everything is operating properly. I'll just make sure. So I'll go ahead, just for the essence of time, I'm just going to go ahead and pause here. I'll be right back right before or hold short of the runway and go through the run-up part of the checklist. Alright guys, taxi over here, hold short runway 31 here at Castle, Atwater Castle. So, just kind of never really done this before, never even attempted it, so I'm going to be doing the run-up portion of the checklist. So just maybe give me a little patience, because I've actually never really done this before in the King Air, or actually even simulated it. So we're just going to follow on the checklist. I'm going to do the best I can, so if I miss a few things, just bear in mind that my idea is that more I familiarize myself with the King Air, the more, as you can see as the videos go on, the more smoother I'll get, and hopefully a little more quicker about this. And actually, I'll know where all the switches are and everything like that too. So that's kind of what I always enjoy flying one plane for a while, because you get very, very familiar with it, and you start being able to actually know where all the switches are and how to properly fly it. So, so let's start. So avionics, radar check. I'm flying in Southern California, so I don't think my radar is really going to be necessary. It's summertime, and I've already checked the weather, so we're just going to bypass that part. Pressurization check. We're actually, our cruising altitude today is going to only be 6,000 feet. I really don't have to set the pressurization, since if you're under, I think, 12,500, you know, pressurization is not really required. But we'll just go ahead and do it just because it's part of the checklist. We're going to pressurize the cabin. We're not going to go up to as high as 6,000. We'll just say maybe like 3,000, even though our climb altitude is 6,000. Pressurization set, autopilot check. I've already set that up. I've got my flight director on. I've got my nav set for ECA VOR. That's just 116.0, which is, you can see it over there. Then vertical speed we got set for about 2,000 feet per second. So you can see I have my flight director already set up there. Okay. So this first time I'm doing this run-up is going to be probably pretty horrible, and me running the checklist, I'm going to be kind of stumbling around a little bit. Keep in mind, but this is the first time, and as these videos progress, I will hopefully, you know, get better at this. So okay, so trim, where we are, pause. It said electric trim, check tab wheels, wheel switch, disconnect. Okay, we'll just say check. Trim is set, check. Flaps check. Usually you have one notch of flaps for takeoff, and that is set. Flight controls, full, free, and correct. Alright, so it's just basically what we would do. We would move our, like we start on the outside. Check our flight controls. We want to make sure that with the airlines full left, full right, elevators full down, full up. Make sure there's no hang-ups or glitches, that it's the rudder full left, full right. That it's just free and clear. Okay, rudder boost on. I don't know where that switch is. So I can see it really quick here. Rudder booster. There we go. I actually found it. Rudder booster is on. Propeller is full forward. Propellers are full forward. Check. Propeller test switch. I don't know where that is. Okay. Left, right, power level up to 1830 to 1910. Alright, so look at our propeller RPM here. Okay, seems to be stabilized here about 1910. Left, right, power level increase to rudder movement. Left, right, power level idle, and then the prop test release. Primary governors exercise at 1800 RPM. I don't know how to do that. Instrument de-ice pneumatic check 1800 RPM. So I guess we would go down here, and we probably would get our RPM was right here up to 1800, then we probably would check our, I don't know if you can actually see on the wing. Oh yeah, you can see on the wings there. And then we would probably see your cycle. Well, I just make sure that all the boots on the de-icing are working. That's probably what they're trying to ask for in that part. But we'll just bypass that for now. Bleed air valves, instrument environment off. Check. Pneumatic gauge 0. Check. Bleed air fail, both illuminated. We do not have a. Okay, we do have the off switches, but on the annunciator panel, we don't have those illuminated. Bleed air valves, environment off or open, pneumatic green arc. Okay. Ice vanes both, check. Auto feather, check. Auto feather, auto feather. Power 500. Get up here, 500 foot-pounds. Okay, auto feather, hold to test. Alright. Power levels, retard each 400 to 220. Retard both. No feather. Okay. Auto feather arm, check. I didn't really do all that part because I'm not quite sure exactly what they're asking for, but at least we're attempting it. Fuel quantity, instruments, check oil, temperature. Okay, well I know our fuel instruments are good. Oil temperature, oil pressure is good. Forward takeoff. Okay, let's just go to port forward takeoff. Checklist part. Bleed air valves open. Bleed air valves open. Check. Annunciators out. All annunciators are out. Transponder on. Okay, now finally an easy part. Transponder is on. Prop synchro phaser. Synchro phaser on. Strobes on. Ice protection is required. We'll just put torpedo heat on for now because it's pretty warm outside. Ice protection is required. Auto ignition armed. Auto ignition is armed. Auto feather annunciators check illuminated. Engine. Okay, that's before. Alright, we're all set here for takeoff. And we'll just simulate the ATC if we were on Unicom. So Castle traffic, November 9-3, November Yankee, departing one-way 3-1, northern departure, Castle traffic. Okay, so far as our V speeds on this, did find those. Rotate speed is about 95 knots, and then we're going VY, which is our best rate of climb, is 125. So kind of shoot for that, and then flights up after 110. Rotate, positive rate, gear up. Flaps up. Alright. So we're gonna kinda, at this point we're gonna pitch for about 160. That's close enough. Now damper on, autopilot engage. Pull back the propeller levels a little bit. So after takeoff, checklist, landing gear up, check. Flaps up, check. Yaw damper on, check. Engine climb, power set, check limits, propeller set, 1900 RPM, check. Synchro phaser on, check. Auto feather off, check. Auto ignition off, check. Engine instruments monitor cabin signs as required. Okay, turn off our cabin signs. Oh, I'll leave the seatbelt sign on. I'll turn off the, where's that? Let's have the fast seatbelt sign on. I can't smoke anyways. Whatever. Cabin pressure, let's make sure we have a positive rate of climb. Let's see if we can see that. Looks like we do. Seem to be on the green. Cabin pressurization check. Aft blower off. I don't know where the aft blower is here. Aft blower off. Check. Alright. After takeoff checklist complete. Go ahead and pause it here for now. I'll come back to it. This kind of, I know I'm really bumbling around here. I'm aware of that. Just kind of trying to get a hold of the, trying to get a little more, how would you say, you know, this is a little bit more smooth with my checklist flow. Right now I'm really stumbling pretty bad because it's actually really the first time I'm trying to follow every single part of it. Before the next video, I'll definitely try to train myself with some of these other switches are and part of the checklist. And I'm going to pause it here for now and come back for the descent part of the checklist. Hey guys, I just want to pull up the sky vector chart here real quick. While I'm right now on the flight, I just flew over, yeah, here's Manteca. So I just passed over Manteca. I'm on the Victor 195. I'm probably about right here. What am I, about 14 miles from, so I'm about right here. I'm flying down to Sunol, and then we're flying into Oakland. And earlier I was kind of looking at the flight plan. I was about 20 miles out here from Oakland, but basically what we do is just track Oakland in here from Sunol. And I didn't really notice that at first, so. But I just want to kind of show you one thing that you can kind of see on this low en route chart that IFR pilots use, or you know, on an instrument flight plan, or IFR flight plan they call it. But say the 4,000 here, that's essentially what it is. It's called an MEA, or minimum en route altitude. It just basically means as long as you, if you're on this Victor airway and you maintain at least 4,000 feet or above, that you should be clear of any. It should be fine for any terrain avoidance. Also be high enough to pick up the VORs for this particular course. So essentially what it means is if we're IFR, and since there is no ATC online right now, I need to maintain 4,000 feet or higher until I have a visual with a, I'm not going to be flying an instrument approach in. So I mean, essentially you can complete your IFR flight plan even without ATC on. If you fly, I don't remember all the exact rules, but essentially you just want to maintain certain things on the chart. So the main thing we need to maintain is our altitude, which means we need to maintain at least 4,000 or higher until we have a visual sighting of Oakland, and then we go ahead and proceed inbound. While I'm doing that part, let's go ahead and just check the weather at Oakland. Let's see, open. So winds are 290 at 12. So basically we're going to be coming in. I think it's either runway 29 is, if memory serves me right, I have to pull up the PDF chart, but I think there's 28 left, 28 right, more for the smaller aircraft like we are, to land more on the north side of the airport, or 29 is more for the larger aircraft, the big planes land right there. So I just want to show you that part of the routing here. That I'm following. I'm flying slant alpha, so I'm not using FMS. I have to kind of keep an eye on the charts and how to fly this push into appropriately. Alright guys, I'm back here. I'm turning right onto the 273 radial at Oakland inbound. Actually, you can kind of see it out there on the horizon. I'm going to go ahead through the descent part of the checklist. Let me bring it up here. Set pressurization, set cabin altitude to, okay, so we'll go ahead and set to pressurization down to pretty much sea level since we're landing at Oakland here. We should see, just confirm that we see a rate drop, which we do, and so it's automatically starting to depressurize. Altimeter set, we already got the altimeter set in Oakland is 29902, check the set. Windshield anti-ice is required, that's not required. Power as required. And 175% for pressurization. Okay, we'll go ahead through the before landing portion of the checklist too. This is the we'll go ahead and set our descent right down to 4,000 since I was going over that earlier. That's the minimum en route altitude. Descent, go down to 1,000 feet per minute. Go back our power levels a little bit. Overspeed on the descent. Alright, before landing checklist, pressurization, check and set, cabin signs, fasten seatbelt sign, no smoking sign, check on, set, feather, auto feather, arm, check, auto synchronization, synchro phaser, ice protection as required, check and set, ignition arm, check, flaps approach, go ahead with that portion. Okay, we'll just stop that portion of the part of the landing checklist until we're a little close to the airport. Alright guys, getting pretty close here to landing. I've disengaged the autopilot, so I'm flying in manually at this time. Just want to continue with the before landing checklist. Okay, so we're going to wait for flaps approach. So we're going to have to wait until our speed drops down into the white arc for that portion of it. We're planning on landing on runway 27 left, which is kind of the, if you see it from here, it looks like the runway in the middle. So under 6, so we put in our first part of our flaps, or so we're under in the white arc on the speed. Landing gear down. That's what that sound is because our speed is dropping and our landing gear is up. Landing gear down, check, set, 3 green. Alright, so our V-reference speed far as this approach on, you can pull that up here, V-ref is 103, so we shoot for 103. A little high there. Let's go ahead and put all our flaps in at this point since we're pretty good there. Short final, flaps down. Let's see, flaps down, check in, set. Propellers full forward. Propellers full forward, check in, set. Probably would help if I probably trim this up a little bit. Alright, propellers full forward, airspeed 100 knots until clear of obstacles. Alright, so we're trying to shoot for 1. I guess this is by checklist more for the short final. And after landing, flaps up, gear up. So I'm trying to maintain about 103 there on the speed, and 2 white, 2 red on the happy lights. So typically when you're landing, you want, small movements, nothing large or erratic. Small, easy controlled movements. Maintain just a more real consistent, and keep your visual scan going. Basically I'm looking at the outside the window. I'm a little high here, so I need to increase my descent rate, keep my eye on my speed. So I just control the, adjust the throttle and try to maintain 103. If we start nose down a little bit, obviously we're going to take off a little power to maintain the same speed. So you got 1 red light up there, still 3 white, 1 red, so it's still a little high on the glide slope. There we go, we got 2 white, 2 red. So it looks like probably on the VSI, which is the vertical speed indicator, looks like about 500-600 feet per minute drop should
500.
Glide path. So things look good here. Try to maintain about 600 on the descent, 103 on the speed. I haven't downloaded any scenery here for Oakland, so that's why it's a little bare. But oh, I did say I was landing on 27. I just had to switch to 27 right here. That should be on Unicom, technically, but we're just gonna skip that part for today. Alright, get down here low, start pulling the throttles back gently. Alright, pretty much at idle right now. Go. Alright, try to save the brakes, use my reversers. Tap the brakes here a little bit. After landing taxi lights as required. Flaps up. Nice protection off. Auto ignition off. Trim set. Flaps up. Transponder radar off. Strobes off, which is right here. It's kind of hard. We're single pilot, do all this stuff. Alright, strobes off. Go ahead and just find a parking spot over here. Go ahead with a shutdown portion of the checklist. Too long here, so I'm just gonna get over here in the, looks like the concrete area. Do a quick little 180 here. Maybe I'll follow this yellow line and see if this takes me to a parking spot. No. Yeah, whatever. Just do a little quick 180 here. Alright. Parking brake. Set. Continue with the shutdown portion. Shut down parking brake set, check. Inverter off. Inverter off, check. Avionic power switch off, check. Auto feather off, check. Lights off. Leave the beacon light on. Nav light off. Taxi light off. Check. Cabin temp mode off. Vent blower auto. Check. Amp blower off. Check. Radiant heat off. Check. Battery charged. I don't know when battery charged. Yeah. ITT stable at minutes for 1 minute. Condition levers cut off. Props feather. Alright, looks like our engine temperature's fine for the shutdown. Standby pumps. Cross feed off. DC volt, check voltage overhead panels, switch off. Battery generator switches off. Oxygen, supply control panel. Control locks install, wheel chocks install, park brake off, tight ends as required, external covers install. Alright, flight complete. And get our wheel chocks on here. Outside, stack element, passenger door. Alright, that completes the flight today. I know I was a little jumbling over the place, but hopefully as these flights continue, I'll get a little more smoother as far as the checklist. But appreciate watching and stay tuned. And if you like the video, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Alright. There's one last thing. I can always like watch my landing, so here we go. Get that in.